Boom. Guns and gains here. Got to start the video off, of course, with a gratuitous gains, flex, right angles, right lighting. It's all fake. Okay, with the gratuitous flex out of the way, no, I'm not on juice, but of course the internet will say I am. Never have been, never will be. Hard work, food. This is brought to you by Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I mean, literally, because that is where this bad boy came from. And without further ado, what bad boy are we talking about? Boom. The LUDT by Microtech. Take a look at that bad boy. Or as Chosen 7x7 would say, look at this piglet. Check out that action. Super snappy. So, I've carried this once. And can I give it a thumbs up? Yes, it bit my finger. And so as I do a little review on this knife, get into what happened and how it bit my finger. And I'll start off with that, and then we'll kind of get into some of my opinions about it. So I carried it in my back pocket, not a deep carry pocket clip. You know, this was made in the 90s, probably before that was popular, I would assume. But the tension on it is just right. It's long, and it actually clicks when you pull it out of your pocket because of that tension. And look at the ramping on that angle. So really nice pocket clip, even though it's not deep carry, okay? Once again, it's a 90s design. You can tell. I mean, it looks like a cheesy Boker knife. I mean, let's just call it out for what it is. The quality is far superior to anything Boker would typically have. You know, the fit and finish is solid. The blade steel is 204P, so obviously that's going to be at, you know, the top of the list for most EDC carry. But carrying it in your back pocket, buyer beware. This button, let's see if I can get an angle on it. You know, it is so proud. I would assume that back here was the problem. I'm not sure. You know, it's not always wise to carry an automatic, a push button side opening automatic in your back pocket, because you sit down, you could depress that without knowing it. And the interesting thing about that is you can sort of partially depress it, and you may not have been able to even perceive that in video. But so let's say you kind of come in contact with it, it'll get a little looser and a little looser. And look, that button's depressed, right? But it's still holding. That's the nature of all of these button locks that are friction based, is it's a gradual deployment. Unlike a switch that doesn't do anything until you hit the point of its release, and then it releases that little trap door built inside and it slings forward. So with this, technically you could kind of bump it, and it would not necessarily thump you with a sudden deployment. And that's what happened to me. And so I reached my back pocket to grab it, and it had a little nom on the thumb. Okay, so lesson learned. Now, I've carried quite a few side opening automatics, whether it be a Hogue or a Boker, and carry them in the back pocket with no problem. But there isn't this really big, proud area that's susceptible to be pushed. So I haven't carried it much in the side pocket yet, but I will, and probably will do an update on that. So as you can tell, it's blue, it's anodized, and it is not that smooth anodized. It is that, I don't know what it's called, forgive me for not looking it up, but it's a rough anodized. It's kind of got a little texture to it. So, you know, I wanted another Microtech, and I wanted something I could thump on. And I wanted something that was a more utilitarian, wide blade, and I wanted a premium steel, and I wanted it to be a side opening automatic. I wanted that kind of reliability, that lockup, just so I could use this, you know, outside when I mow the grass. I know it sounds crazy. You're going to carry a Microtech when you're mowing the grass. Yes, I use all of my knives. And this one will be no exception. So I buy knives to use them. I don't really, I mean, I have some cases I probably don't carry as much, that's true, but pretty much every knife will be carried and it will do something. I typically don't just collect knives because they're pretty. Now, one thing I do really like, you know, people really don't like this, and they, you know, kind of equate that maybe to like some of the cheese branding that you get on some Chinese knives. But look, it looks high quality. The you know, the print on it is superior. You can tell it's not just going to easily rub off. So I like it. I dig it. It's a Microtech thing, right? So you got to be about that Microtech life. This is an apocalyptic finish. Really sweet. It's a special stone wash that they have. And if you'll notice, you can see sort of almost like a distress line at the grind, at the plunge grind there. You can see the silver showing through, right? So it's pretty cool. A little interesting fact. I mean, take a look at that taper. Maybe you can see it. Yeah, just interesting, right? A little different. Not really sure what the purpose of that is, but it definitely has a taper to it. You know, moderate jimping, I would definitely call that. One positive to this design is that the backside is pretty well closed, and it'll help keep chunks of lint out of that button lock mechanism. Obviously, things can get inside from this angle, and there you can see that shiny surface on the inside is that button lock. And that's something to know as well. That is a machined surface inside to help it be smoother, yet it is not very smooth. The button lock deployment is, see if you can hear that. So you hear that little grind, it's kind of grinding against the base of the steel. And I guess it's unavoidable. They tried, I think, by machining the button lock to make it not so grindy, and you probably lube that and it'll, you know, it'll be smooth for as long as the lube lasts on there. And by the way, I recommend using transmission fluid to lube, and very, very little of it. Very little of it. Transmission fluid is so thin, it's really, really durable. You don't want to use a ton of it. It, you know, may have a bit of a smell. I mean, all oil does. But use just a little bit. It doesn't take much, and it will go in between the rub areas inside your knife, right? Make it really smooth, and it's pretty durable stuff. So that's what I'd recommend doing. This is dry. I have not done it. I haven't disassembled it, taken it apart. You kind of don't want to, in my opinion, take this apart, because these side automatics are pretty tough to put back together. I'm sure there are guys who are pros at it, and maybe that's something that you would like to take on. I had a miserable time putting my Kalashnikov, my Boger Kalashnikov back together. The tension you have to have on the spring is has to be preloaded for everything to go back in. And then you have to kind of squeeze this because it wants to fly apart at the same time. Really complicated. So I would not recommend doing that. Overall, I mean, look, it's a Microtech. It's 204p. It's the apocalyptic finish. You know, that blue is almost three-dimensional. Really, really, really nice knife. It definitely a user, definitely unique. And yeah, it comes factory sharp. It really does, which most brands don't. Like I said in one of my other videos, you know, cold steel does. And so, you know, it's a 90s design. It's dated. This is their very first knife. So you kind of have to buy it with that in mind, that you're getting the original. I would love to see an updated version, yeah? Maybe something in micarta, carbon fiber, you know, a different mill design than this. Is very 90s. So yeah, the knife is a little bit cheesy, but it is the sort of budget knife in the Microtech collection, and it's big, you know, with a blade length, let's see. The cutting edge, just over 3 inches. cutting edge. And you know, you may not like a big choil like this for sharpening, but tell you what, you won't get into your handle whatsoever when sharpening, and that is really, really nice. A big choil like that, I don't have a problem with, because then I don't mar this up. So that's my review. Hope you enjoy it. Check out my other videos. Guns and Gains out.